Go for hobby mandated big boy footage. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Matt, I'm back, and today is my final update to 26th Street Station before I'm about ready to pack this thing up and head on off to the St. Louis RPM this year. Not a ton in today's video. A lot of what I've been working on the layout has been kind of little things over the course of the last few weeks. The biggest thing being this building right here. I wanted to at least have something that was completely built from a structure standpoint for the show, just to kind of give people an idea of the direction that the modeling process was going to be taken. Because so much of what I'm doing is you know, these wood flats and stand-ins that kind of represent where buildings will one day go. I at least wanted to have something structure-wise in place that people can look at and go, okay, I can see sort of the vision. And so I went with this building right here. Now this is a representation of a real building on 26th Street Station. It's labeled as a storage building of some sort. I've only got like one picture of it and like a little sliver of it in a corner of another picture. The building itself in real life is it's interesting. It's a two-story storage warehouse that has, I think, a concrete dock. I think it's like on piles or whatever they call those things. But it has a nice curve to it. Cool building. I wasn't going to be able to fit that building specifically into this spot just because of the way my tracks are arranged. But I wanted to do something. And so what I decided to do was take a Wathers background structure. This is a commissary building, I think is what it's called. It's a background structure that Wathers makes. So it's pretty narrow. Doesn't have a back of the building. The original kit is actually 3 stories tall. So I shortened it down to 2 stories for this. Cut out a lot of sections in order to make that work. And it's also about 1/3 as deep. It's very, very shallow compared to the original background building. When it comes to paint and weathering, you know, I wanted to play with weathering of structures, and specifically wanted to play with weathering of like bricks and mortar. So I weathered this thing up pretty good. This is probably more weathered than the actual building would have been in 1955. It had only been around for maybe 20 years at that point. But I figure it's in a rail yard. You know, it's probably not made of the greatest materials. It's there just to store stuff and not really to be super fancy or anything like that. So I figure I could get away with it here. Plus, I think I like heavily weathered buildings. So first thing I did was just do, you know, black spray paint primer, followed by airbrush sort of brick terracotta, reddish, earthy color. And then from there, I individually painted a ton of bricks. I think you use about 3 or 4 different colors to create kind of orangey bricks and darker brownish bricks and all the colors in between. From there, I went ahead and added the mortar between the bricks. And what I used for that was this right here. This is called Robert's Brick and Mortar. It's kind of a chalky, I don't know, like a chalky, thickish mortar. Well, it goes on real thin, but then it kind of dries chalky. So you brush it over the top of your brickwork, let it dry, and then you kind of, with a wet paper towel, wipe off the excess. And you get a really nice, very well sort of deposited mortar between the cracks of your bricks. It is very white coming out of the bottle because this is an older building and one I kind of wanted to feel grungy and, you know, covered in soot and stuff. I went over that with a wash of Vallejos Tire Black. I actually used the Vallejos Tire Black across this whole layout to kind of unify the colors in it and kind of bring the tone down a little bit across everything. I use it as a wash. I use it as a primary color in some cases. I use it, for example, to spray between the rails to you know, to give it that oily deposit that you'll get from locomotives kind of passing over the same rails over and over again. But anyway, that brought the tone of the mortar down, kind of gave it a dirty gray look to the mortar. Ended up looking pretty good that way. Finishing up the building, I added lighting. I wanted to have something of a detailed interior and then lighting to go along with it. Now the lighting kit I used was from Woodland Scenics. It is their Just Plug system, which is a really great system actually. It is any type of lighting you might need for buildings or lamp posts, or they even have cars with headlights that light up. It all comes in this Just Plug system, and it all kind of like just plugs together. You have electrical outlets. You have these little guys right here, which is little hubs where all your little lights plug into. You have expansion ports and all sorts of things. One thing I really love about the Just Plug system is these guys have like little dials so you can turn up the intensity or turn down the intensity on your lights. So let me see if I can see that, but the intensity in the inside of the building can go up or down. So you can kind of vary it to a degree so you can get to kind of look realistic for you and your layout. It can be tough, especially with LEDs and that kind of thing, to kind of get that light intensity perfect. It tends to look probably a little too bright or a little underwhelming maybe sometimes, depending on the lighting situation you're looking for. And so just to have that little knob that you can turn to vary the intensity is really cool. So the light inside of the building is just glued to the top of the building here, and it's shining a light on a little printout of some crates that I had found online and printed out. And just to give the inside of the building a little bit of detail, something a little interesting to look at. The lights underneath the awning here, I have two of them, are an N-scale little, it's a lamp like you would see in the side of an industrial building. It comes silver and green. I painted it black and glued it in place and wired it into the system as well. The big problem with those lights were they were kind of purple out of the box, the lighting, and I didn't realize that at first. But you can see in this picture here, very purple, not realistic at all. I ended up using a paint from Tamiya called Clear Yellow. X24 is the number on that. Painted over the top of the LED, and you can see it yellows it up quite a bit. I want to maybe find a happy middle ground. Maybe I can wipe off some of that yellow paint to find a little bit of a happy middle ground in the yellowness of the light there, because I don't know why it was purple. I don't know. I mean, it was probably like a really cool blue, but like on the purple end, and then against that red brick, it just made it look really, really reddish purple. I'll share some of the details I added to the layout as well. You can see, so I've got some grasses kind of growing along in here, as well as a pile of ties, and this is over here is a pile of ballast. Not super prototypical for this location, but I did want to have some sort of detail, some sort of additional just visual thing for you to look at in this area. And then I haven't seen like piles of wood ties, but I imagine, you know, you would need to replace ties every once in a while, so you need a place to store them. This spot right here seemed like a good spot for it. I'm going to have a light post in here eventually. That was something that was on the real 26th Street station, so we're going to get a light kind of lighting up the yard area in this area as well, a little bit down the road. Another thing I did was I added asphalt patches to my driveways here, and you can see right here, and a bunch of them back along in there. Those also existed on the real 26th Street station. There's a lot of like patched up driveways in this area here. I'm using them specifically to hide seams. These are brick sheets that have been kind of glued together to create these long driveways. And so the lines where the sheets kind of butted together, I wanted some way to hide them. And luckily, there were all these patches all over the real driveways on the prototype, and they made for a perfect opportunity to create patches and hide those seams on this one as well. And then finally, I had decided I was going to originally like at least put a coat of paint over all my plywood just to give everything kind of a finished look. But I decided against that in the end, and the major reason for that was this isn't a completed railroad, and stuff like the road here and this building here, this is stand-in stuff, and so I didn't want the confusion of too much finished stuff on the layout, and then there'd be these things, and then it's like, well, what is this? I don't understand what this is. By having the bare plywood, you understand pretty well, okay, I understand that, like, this area over here, this isn't complete, and so, you know, obviously what I'm seeing here is just stand in for when it finally does become complete. Well, that is all for me today. Like I said, I'm excited to get this thing kind of packed up and on my way to St. Louis. If you are interested in prototype modeling, or if you're interested in model railroading at all, maybe you started a layout, maybe you're in the process of starting a layout and you haven't really gotten too far yet, come on out and check out the show. It's really awesome. It's you know, modelers talking about model railroading. If you have questions about building a model railroad, you know, putting together bench work, wiring, you and I can crawl underneath the table and take a look at what I did here. Pepper me with questions. I'm there to share my love for the hobby, answer questions, help out where I can. Just talk trains the whole weekend, and I'm excited to do that. So I'm excited to see everyone out there this Friday and Saturday, the 24th and 25th, I believe, if I have those dates right. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. But anyways, thanks you everyone for checking out this video, and I'll see you all in another video.